Hi, my name is Rami Rubin. I am the creative director for Causematch, and you are about to review the draft of the campaign page copy for your Causematch campaign. This is the actual text that will appear on screen when people come to donate to the campaign, and it will also be used to craft all the other messaging for this campaign once it's finalized. I share this short video with you because everything I'm about to tell you is based on our data and research. This is the method to the madness that goes into crafting the messaging, and it is all based from data in terms of what works from a fundraising perspective. I believe in this so fervently, I'd encourage you to use it in your fundraising strategy, totally independent of Causematch. I also think it'll help you give us feedback when you do see what we've come up with for your campaign. The first principle that I think about when I write messaging for a fundraising campaign like this is I always think about fundraising in terms of giving donors a problem to solve. More than asking people to give money, I want to ask them to solve a problem. So we want to paint a picture of what the world looks like for a service recipient before he or she is introduced to your organization. And then we want to paint a picture of what that world looks like once they're introduced to your organization and their problem is solved. Then we can issue that call to action to donors and that says, we cannot bridge the problem and the solution. We cannot help this service recipient unless you, Mr. or Mrs. Donor, open up your heart and donate. Whatever we do to raise money for this campaign, whether we're going to send emails or WhatsApp messages, social media posts, phone calls, we always want to think about packaging the messaging in terms of problem, solution, call to action, and giving donors a problem to solve. That's principle number one. Principle number two is that it's all about you. And in this case, I don't mean your organization. I mean the reader, the donor. I want to make this as relevant and as interesting to the reader as possible. I want to insert the reader into the story to say that you are the hero that's going to bridge the problem and the solution that we just spoke about a slide ago. Donating should be an expression of a donor's values, right? We want to make this more about the donor than it is about your organization, and even in many ways, more than it is about the service recipients themselves. So we tend to use the word you a lot. That is by design. We have seen that that works from a fundraising perspective. You will raise more money if you focus your copy on the word you. Principle number three is about the writing itself. Often when I write, I think about my high school English teacher. Her name was Mrs. Zilka. And even though she and I had a very nice relationship, I often think she wouldn't be terribly proud of what we've come up with for these campaigns. Because you're going to see this is very, very simple writing. It is short and focused. We use short words, short sentences, even short paragraphs, so it's not visually overwhelming. The key is to make this as easy to understand as quickly as possible. You also may feel that when you read it all the way through that it feels a little bit repetitive, like we're essentially trying to find different ways of saying the same thing. That is by design for a couple of reasons. One, most people are not going to read this all the way through in its entirety. Number two, we want to hammer home that value proposition, the impact of a donor's gift. If we can say that over and over again, you are going to have a tremendous impact if you donate, then we'll be able to cut through the clutter and really hammer that home for donors, for readers. Lastly, when we're able to repeat ourselves, what that does is we don't just hope that they read this one really important sentence or paragraph of what we're trying to convey. We make sure that no matter what someone reads, they're always at any point going to understand the heart of the campaign. That is principle number three. The last principle that we like to employ here is about digital storytelling. We want this to be an emotional case for giving, as opposed to an analytic or intellectual case for giving. We've seen that the emotional side of the brain is a much more philanthropic, generous side of the brain than the intellectual, the analytic side of the brain. So we want to stay on the emotional. What does that mean to stay on the emotional side of the brain? It means that if we can convey to donors that at the end of this transactional process, there are real people who are going to benefit from a donor's gift from your organization. There's a real individual who will not be served by your organization unless a donor donates, then we're going to see fundraising go up. We want to pull on the heartstrings. We want to make this about the story of one, not the story of many. We tend to stay away from facts and figures and statistics at Causematch, things that sort of flip the switch in our brain to make us think more analytically. We want to stay on the emotional side of things, and that will cause people to give at much higher rates. So those are the four principles that we employ to craft the messaging that you're about to read. I just want to end with my contact information, as I hope comes through in this video. I love this stuff. I love the donor psychology of it all. I'm always happy to continue the conversation and field any questions that you have offline. So please, with that, dive into your copy, and we look forward to your feedback. Thank you.